Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this Telegram personal assistant from scratch, and I'm not going to cut anything out because I feel like a lot of these guys on YouTube, when they make these, they don't actually work. So I'm going to show you all the problem solving, all the errors I'm going to come across while I build this thing live in front of you. And I'm just going to jump in, give you a quick demo of what this thing actually does. So this thing can send emails from purely voice notes or text. So instead of you going into your Gmail or your work email or anything like that, we can literally send voice notes to our Telegram assistant and this will send emails for us. So I'm going to put this over here. We're just going to send a voice note saying, I want you to send an email to John Smith saying, I won't be at work today, the subject, absence. And then we're just going to press test workflow and we can have a little look at this. And I need to deactivate it actually. It's saying it's already sent the email, so let's just double check this. I will have to cut this bit out so you can't see my email, but I promise you, that's all I'm cutting out. I'm not actually doing anything else. So it did actually work. So it said I needed to deactivate the workflow because I've already got this live, but it did actually work. So, and we can also do this with text. So we could say, you know, if we wanted to manually type this, but this kind of defeats the point of it because you may as well just go into your email. So I like the fact that you can send a voice message and that would do it instead. But we could say, you know, I want you to email John Smith saying I won't be at work. And this is probably, I'm going to change this name actually because it's probably going to say, well, it'll recognize that we've already sent an email to this person. So I'm going to say to Brooke saying I won't be at work. And let's see what this thing comes up with. And you're not going to be able to actually see the workflow running here because I've got it active. So you can actually see it here. And what it's doing is basically searching through all these and it's sent that email. So I'll check that again. Let's have a little look. And if we just refresh this, and there we go, the email has sent right there. So let's just jump in and I'm going to show you how to build this thing. So a quick overview, because this might look quite confusing to you if you've never built something like this before, but I promise you, I had never wrote like code in my life. You know, I'm not a technical person. I wouldn't consider myself a computer scientist or anything like that. In fact, I come from a marketing background, so I'm not this into it at all. And I've pretty much got my head around this now. I'm going to say that with a pinch of salt because probably going to be quite a few errors I'm going to come across in this in a second. But quick overview. The Telegram trigger. So this is the thing that triggers the entire workflow. So this is when we have that chat open on Telegram here. Whenever we send a message to that, that's going to go to this node. And this is like, if you imagine, if it's true, it's going to go one way. If it's false, it's going to go the other. So if we click into this if node here, if the json.message.voice, don't worry if you don't know what that means. It's just like the code for basically if a voice message is received. If the voice message exists, then it's going to go to this, which is going to download that, and it's going to transcribe it using ChatGPT or OpenAI, and that's going to allow us to feed it to the agent, because essentially this agent can't really understand it as an audio file, but this little piece of code here would just make sure, you know, no matter what happens, whether it's text or whether it's voice, it's going to come back to this agent as a text message or as, you know, a written message, so it can understand it and know what to do with them instructions. And this bit here actually took me about like, I'd say like 30 minutes on Claude Sonnet 3.7, writing the code behind this. Not like personally writing it, but I come up with an error message, so I was just like, can you write me the code for this? So I didn't write any code myself. But I'm just going to provide you with this so you don't have to do that. So I'll put this in the description below, or I'll leave like a Google Doc link or something like that. But yeah, let's build this thing from scratch. So I'm just going to break this one because I'm not sure if it'll allow you to have 2 Telegram triggers at once. But I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. So I'm going to do that, and then all you're going to do is go to this plus at the top. We're going to go to workflow. We're going to go to personal. And I'm just going to save that as it is with the broken. And then we're going to go to Telegram trigger. So we're just going to do on message, so we can see here. Oh no, not on edited message. Just going to delete that. We're going to go to, I don't know why I can't see it, on message. Here we go. And then we're just going to click out of that. And then the next one we need to do is the if node. So this is basically going to allow us to distinguish between sending it a text message. So like I showed you before, I just manually typed, I want you to send an email to this person, or if I just want to send a voice message. This is going to allow the agent to figure out, you know, which path that's going to go down. So we're going to put an if node now. And we're going to do if JSON. So we're going to execute this. I might need to send a text first. And also I did actually forget to mention, so here's the first issue. We need to go back and connect our credentials. So if you're doing this for the first time, then you wouldn't have your Telegram credentials here. So we're going to add a new credential, and we're going to find this API token. I'm going to show you how to find this now. So all you're going to do is go to Open Docs, and you're going to go to this bot folder here. So there's going to be a link where here, start chat with the bot folder, and this is where Telegram allows you to set up a chat where you can basically speak to and use it to make API calls. API calls, you imagine, is like allowing this to speak to other platforms or or other websites. So I'm going to press bot folder, I'm going to open Telegram. I'm not going to do this because we've already done it, but basically it's going to give you this API token here, and this is what you actually want to copy and paste into your workflow in this section here. Put that in, press save, and that's ready to go. And there is actually instructions on the website there for how to go through this, but it'll basically give you a message. You're just going to press like start, you're going to name the bot, and then it's going to be ready to go. I'm not going to go through that. It's actually so simple and it's so self-explanatory that it'd be a waste of time to show you here. So I'm going to click out of that, and then we're going to go to this if node, and then we're going to find this. So what we need to do is go and test this node here. So I'm going to go back to my actual bot. So as you can see here as well, I've actually got a little bit techie with it. Don't know what you think about this AI assistant, but one of the prompts was actually, can you make her a bit sexier? And my girlfriend wasn't too happy about that, which is actually quite funny, because how can you get upset over an AI? But let's carry on. So I'm going to send a voice message here, just so we have the voice message present, because we need that little bit of, code. Can you call it code? I don't know if it even is code. Well, it's a form of code, JSON. We need that present so we can actually drag and drop that into that in a second, which I'm going to show you. So, hello there, this is a test, and then we should see, hopefully, this come through. So if I press execute previous nodes, and we can now see all this data has come through. So what we need to look for is the json.voice message. So I'm going to find, so we need to go to voice, and then we need to drag this one in. Yep, and that's the right one. And then we need to object if it exists, and then that's pretty much it for that one. So we're going to go to the next one, and then if it is true, so if the voice message exists, we then need to transcribe this in order for our agent to understand it. So what we need to do next is to download the file, because we can't transcribe it without downloading it first. Maybe in the future, but right now that's what we need to do. So we're going to go to Telegram, and we're going to go to download a file, if we can find it. Or get a file, sorry, it's going to be. It's going to get, I'm going to execute previous nodes again. We're going to find the file ID of the voice. So we need to go down to voice and find this file ID here. And then we can go to the next step, which is using OpenAI to transcribe this thing. So we're going to go to OpenAI. Then we're going to go to transcribe a recording. And if you don't have your OpenAI account connected, then all you're going to do is go to platform.openai, and you need to make an account here if you don't have one already. It is a little bit different to ChatGPT. You're then going to log in, so I'm just going to quickly log in. And then all you would do is go to this section here. So I'm going to go to billing first of all, because this won't work if you don't have any credit. So you will need to put, I put £10 on, and I've probably tested this like hundreds of times, and it's only used like, 19 cents. So just put a little £10 on there, that should be enough. That will definitely be enough. And then what we need to do is go to API keys, this one here, and you need to create a new API key, and then make sure you copy it and put it somewhere, because once you see this once, you won't see it again. So you're going to create it there. I'm not going to press it because it'll expose my data, but once you've got that API key, you're going to go back to here, you're going to go to new credentials and put your API key in here, and then your OpenAI account will be connected, and then this section will be ready to go. But for now, I'm just going to leave that as it is, and we're going to leave all these settings as they are as well. And then the next one, this is the one where I'm going to have to copy and paste it from my old workflow. So I will provide this for you though, so you don't have to go back and forth with Claude figuring out. But basically this little code nodule, all it does is essentially what this code is saying here is saying to the agent that no matter what format comes through, whether it's audio, whether it's text, I want you to format that in a way where it's only text that will ever be received by the agent. So it's a pretty simple piece of code. I couldn't write it myself. I've never wrote a line of code in my life. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy and paste the code from my other one. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. And as I said, I will provide this for you, so don't panic. All you got to do is copy and paste this in, it'll work. Just like that. And then we're going to click out of it. And then we're going to add the actual agent. So this is where this thing actually comes together. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to add a OpenAI agent. So we're going to go to advanced AI. It's going to be an AI agent. And we're also going to define below. So we're going to go here and add an option for a system message. And this is going to act as a prompt. And you know what? I'm going to give you this as well. This took a little bit of playing around with to get it right and actually come into some issues. But I solved all them for you with this prompt. So we're just going to copy and paste this in. And then this should work perfectly. And then what we're going to do next is connect this thing up. So that's connected to that. This needs to be connected to this, like that. So basically, no matter, whether it's voice or text, they're going to go to this code module, then that's going to feed into the agent. And then what we have here with the chat model, this acts as the agent's brain. So my favorite is ChatGPT. I don't know why. It's the one I've used the longest, the one that has the most information on me. And I just find it's one of the easiest to use for beginners, which I assume a lot of you watching this will be beginners. So let's go with that one. We're just going to use 4.0 mini, so we're just going to leave that as it is. And then we're going to give it a simple window buffer memory. And this is going to be, so this context window here basically means that it can remember the last 5 things that we said to it in a conversation, which is definitely enough for this type of agent. And I didn't actually demonstrate at the beginning, which I'm going to quickly demonstrate for you. If I go here, I can also get this thing to check my calendar. So I'm going to say, I know, actually we can't. This is the thing about doing it live because I broke it before I went out, so I can show you it on this one. I'll show you at the end. But we can give this thing access to multiple tools, whether it's checking Google Sheets for you, calendars. Let's just carry on building it because I'm going a little bit off topic here. So the first tool we're going to give it is a Gmail tool. So we're going to go to Gmail tool. We're going to go to send, so the operation is send, and then where it says to, we're going to change this to expression. So all this means is fix would mean that it would receive the same value every time. So that would be the example of you only ever send an email to one person. Whereas expression, it means it's going to change based on, the information you've given it. So it's going to be a different email every time because you're not always going to be emailing the same person. And N8N has got so good in this respect that instead of you sort of dragging and dropping in the JSON code into here, we can now just press this little AI button and it's going to automatically define it for us. Same with the subject. We're going to change this email type to text because we don't want to send a HTML email to someone. We're also going to change the message to expression because what we want to say is going to depend on what we put into Telegram. And this is the extra little tip as well. So we're going to go to, this add option at the bottom, append N8N attribution. I'm going to turn that off. So otherwise it's going to say at the bottom of every email, this was sent by N8N. So if you're using this for work, you don't want to get grassed in, or snitched on by N8N for not doing your work and using an AI bot to reply to people. So make sure you turn that off. And then this should be pretty much ready to go. So we're going to rename this one, send email. And I'm going to do a little bonus one for you for this agent. It's a little bonus tip. We're going to add the ability to check our calendar. So I'm just going to type in calendar, Google Calendar. And what this thing can do for us is actually check if we've got any events on our calendar, which is so useful because the amount of times I miss sales calls and things like that because I use Calendly and it just doesn't really notify you that well. But I can literally just quickly go in Telegram and be like, have I got a meeting today? And it's going to tell me. So we're going to do this. We're going to leave this as get. So it's going to retrieve the calendar list. So I only have one calendar, so it's going to use that. But you would select your calendar here. And the event ID, we're going to go to expression and let the model define that. And then that's pretty much it for that one. We might need to fix this in a minute because we'll see if there's any issues that run when we actually run this thing. But now this is an important bit as well. So unless we wanted to provide the email every time in this chat for this agent, which you don't want to do, we want to have a database of, people that we regularly email or contact. So one like this, so I'm going to show you here. So I've just made this little simple email list here and, they're obviously not real names, but what this is going to do, we're going to give this to the agent. So then when I say I want you to send an email to David, it can automatically go into this, read this sheet and see that this is this person's email without us giving it. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you in a second. But what we're going to do to add this is we're going to go back to this tools here. We're going to do sheets. And in the prompt I give you before for this agent, it will know how to use these tools because I've already written it out for you. So you don't need to do anything there. And we're going to do get rows, so it can, that means it can basically look up You know, these other options as well are like, we could say, I want you to update a spreadsheet, or I want you to delete something or anything like that. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple. We just want it to search, and then we're going to go from the file, so the email contacts. So it'd be good to call this email contacts. And then the sheet is basically just like the inside of the sheet. So you don't need to worry about that. And now is the moment of truth. So let's see if this thing actually works. Oh, we're going to come into some errors. So I'm going to test it now. So this is already connected to the previous bot that I've made, but as I said, you will need to make this one. So let's test this workflow. So I'm going to press test. And I'm going to back out this. We can have both of them active. And I'm going to say, I want you to send an email to John. And we seem to have come into an error. So let's figure out what the error is. Window buffer memory, no session ID found. So let's figure out what this actually is. Let's go to window buffer, session ID, define below, the key. So let's try this instead. Or actually, let's go back. Let's see, connected to, right, okay, so this is the issue. So for some reason, it doesn't like this connected to chat trigger node. So we're going to define below, and we're going to do an expression. So the expression we're going to put in is the json.text, which is basically like the code version of the message that we sent in. So it's how AI likes to read. So if you imagine our message we've inputted into Telegram, that but written in a way that the agent can understand. So let's find that. So we need to go for message. We need to find this from Telegram. I think we're going to go with, I think it is this one. So let's go with that. So it should say json.message. No, that's the wrong one. Text. There you go. So let's do that. And that's the wrong node. So you're actually seeing some real issues from here. So let's carry on. Message ID, chat input. This is the one we want. Okay. So this has come from the code node. So json.chatInput. So let's test this now and see if this works. We did actually mess around with the window buffer, so I'm going to change this to connect it to chat trigger node. And let's see if this thing works again. I want you to send an email to John Smith. And we seem to have come across an error again. So let's have a look. So this one seems to be okay. So I think the issue is coming from the fact that we need to change this to define below, and then we're going to put the key is the chat input to the same as the other one from the code nodule. So let's try that. Let's see if that works. Chat input. Let's test it one more time. So this is good that you're seeing some live sort of problem solving, because when someone shows you how to build this perfectly, which they probably scripted, probably practice, I find that when I go to build it, it never actually works for me. So let's try it again. I want you to send an email to your mum. And there we go. So a little bit of problem solving, managed to get it work. So if we go back, just make sure you've got this as defined below, and then we're going to find this chat input from the code node. I'm going to drag it into this section here. I'm going to do the same for the window buffer memory so they both match. And sorry guys, I did actually forget to mention one last thing. So this little Telegram node here, which you can just go to add Telegram, send message. So it's going to be this one here. I can't find it. Send a text message. So this one here, you're just going to add that at the end, and this is so it can reply to you in your Telegram chat. The demonstration I did actually worked because I've already got it set up on a different automation, but that's the last step. So there you go. And that is, pretty much ready to go. So I hope you found some value in this. If you want this for free, I'll put a link in the bio where you can get this, where I'll provide the template which you can download. But I would seriously recommend trying to build this thing yourself. It's pretty simple. You're not going to see all these other videos out there. You're not going to see ones built like this because this is unique. I've not copied this off anyone. But yeah, I hope you guys have fun with this. This is one of the most useful things I built because I don't send emails anymore. I send voice notes. So I'll see you guys in the next one, and let me know in the comments below if there's any type of video that you want me to make.